The NCWCD is monitoring signs of deterioration from year to year, and scientists are increasingly concerned that regional coastal development is accelerating coral die-off. On the island itself, as with many of the Gulf's offshore islands, seabirds nest in their thousands. Here on Jazirat Karan, over 10,000 lesser-crested terns breed and nest throughout the hot, humid summer months. Nine species of tern are known to breed in the Gulf, and although terns are found all over the globe, the Arabian Gulf is perhaps the only place in the world where so many species breed side by side. On Karan, we can find 4 species. Terns are birds of the air and spend time on the ground only in nesting seasons, when thousands of birds alight on isolated islands such as these to lay and hatch their eggs. The birds carpet the islands, forming huge colonies of seething bodies and righteous squawking. The Gulf is spotted with many sandy islands, and the waters are full of fish, providing perfect feeding and nesting sites for the birds between May and June. Their nests are merely shallow scraped depressions in the ground, deriving their protection from the wall of birds around them. The common tern also nests on the island. Nesting for approximately 3 weeks, the bird on the nest is fed by its mate, who doesn't always seem particularly keen on this role and often appears to be undecided on whether to feed its mate or eat the fish itself. In mid-June, all this work pays off, and the eggs begin to hatch. The chick, using its temporary egg tooth, breaks out of the shell. Exhausted, it flops into the scrape dug by its parents. Here it spends the first 3 or 4 days, being fed on regurgitated fish. After the first crucial days, the chicks are left with minders while the parents go off to fish. Remarkably, when the parents return, the adult terns can identify their own chicks from among thousands of hungry gaping beaks. These acres of churning wings, feathers and snapping beaks are a wonderful sight to behold. But to ensure the continuation of this phenomenon, the NCWCD wants to implement stronger measures to preserve these habitats from possible destruction. Moving from offshore to onshore, we come across extremely important mangrove ecosystems. It is the intertidal zone that is considered to be the Arabian Gulf's most important marine asset, a world in itself. These intertidal zones are ruled by the shifting tides. From a distance, mangroves appear to be low, scrubby trees, nestling in a bed of seashore mud. However, these seemingly unassuming plants harbor a complete ecological system, which provides the first link in the detritus food chain of marine organisms, nourishing the many creatures of the intertidal zone. Mangrove trees are terrestrial plants that have invaded salt water and create one of the most productive ecosystems on Earth. They grow in calm, warm, shallow, salty water, flourishing in fine-grained soils rich in nutrients, but containing very little oxygen. To cope with these salty anaerobic conditions, the mangroves have upward-growing roots called pneumatophores, or aerial roots, which enable the plants to obtain oxygen directly from the air. They also have little understood inbuilt desalination glands, which excrete salt from the underside of the leaves, enabling them to tolerate the highly saline conditions. Birds use the trees for nesting and sift the mudflats for juvenile fish and invertebrates at low tide. A grey heron fledgling waits patiently for its parent to return with food. Below the mangroves, the surface of the mud is covered in blue-green algae, which release oxygen and help to bind together mud particles. Mud snails can be found here feeding in high numbers. Mollusks, crabs, and a great variety of fishes abound in the numerous creeks, channels, and mudflats associated with mangrove habitat, where they shelter among the roots and feed on leaf detritus. Crabs inhabiting the mud remove rotting organic matter, whilst aerating the mud with their burrowing activities. Although coral reefs harbour the highest diversity of marine life, the inshore and intertidal zones are amongst the most productive in terms of nurseries for pelagic and reef fish, as well as invertebrates. All are linked to the amazing mangrove ecosystem, reliant on the plant Avicennia marina. Nearby, another fledgling waits impatiently. The osprey thrives throughout the Gulf and along most of Arabia's coastlines. In the shallows just off the mangrove ecosystem, flamingos flock in their hundreds, stopping off en route to their wintering grounds. Some stop and use parts of Arabia's shorelines for extended periods, but most are making a true marathon of a journey to Africa.